guys. So I do have a video on how to draw a snowman, but I thought for the older kids out there who still want to draw a snowman but want something a little more challenging, I do have a video for you on how to draw a three-dimensional snowman. So a snowman that looks like it's popping out of the page. Are you ready? What you'll need is a pen and some paper. Let's go. Hey guys, we are going to be doing a value scale using a pen today. And then we are going to use the value scale to create a three-dimensional snowman. So let's start with making a value scale. I am going to make a long rectangle and separate it into various parts. You can separate it into 6, 7, 8 parts, it doesn't matter. Okay, what you're gonna do is the first box is going to be empty for the lightest value. And I'm actually gonna label this. There. Just so you know. Okay, and then I'm going to use this technique called crosshatch, and I really love doing crosshatch with a pen. So, and I'm going to write numbers down here so I remember how many layers of crosshatch I need to have. You know what, I'm actually going to add even one more layer here, just because I think it's important to see the different values. And I'm going to start with one layer of crosshatch. Seems weird to call this first layer cross hatch because I'm actually not going to cross. I'm actually just going to leave it at one layer. And I'm going to now do 2 layers of here, and if you blur your eyes, you start seeing the change in value. You're not going to really see it very clearly until I move further down. So that's 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, and notice the value starts to get darker, more intense. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now notice there's only 4 options really. Diagonal to one side, diagonal to another, horizontal, vertical, and now when you go to 5, you're going to repeat one of those lines. And then you're going to, kind of like a pattern. I don't know why I started up and down here. That doesn't really matter. 2, 3, 4. We try 5 and 6. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and now we're going to do 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm not really following a pattern, by the way. I'm just sort of seeing where the gaps are and filling them in. 8. Okay, so now I want you to blur your eyes and you can see the value change between completely light to, so the change from one value to the last value, this is what we call a subtle change. And I love to talk about that word because it's spelled really funny. Subtle has a silent B, but subtle means that it changes very gently from light to dark. And we're going to need to know this word and need to know how to switch from light to dark very gently when we draw a sphere, which is what we're going to need to draw our three-dimensional snowman. Now, if we were to just change the value from here to here without all of this in between, that would be called a abrupt change. So let's say you have two values here and you were to color this completely black. And that is an abrupt change. So the jump from white to black is abrupt. The change from white to black here is more subtle, okay? Those two words are really important, especially when you're working with spheres. So let's work on making a sphere. So I'm gonna look at this ball right here. Now, if you blur your eyes, you can see that on the right side, it's much darker than on the left side because I have a lamp over here. So let's draw a sphere. And we're going to use our knowledge of the values to start making some cross hatches. And we're going to make a very subtle change from light to dark, from dark to light. And remember, this part is really not going to be touched because that's going to be the lightest value. And this is the fun part. I'm just going to keep adding layers. And there isn't really a method to the madness. You just keep adding layers so that the outside is going to be much darker. And every once in a while, I want you to look at the ball. If you have a tennis ball or maybe one of those exercise balls and you use a flashlight, you will then be able to look at the value change on your own. There we go. Excellent. So the goal is to have the values change subtly, to be a subtle change in value, not abrupt. Those are excellent words to use even in writing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use our knowledge of this to create our snowman. Okay, so I do have a modeling of a snowman that I made, and it's kind of getting dirty, but this is it right here. And if you blur your eyes while you're looking at the snowman, you can tell that every single sphere on the right side is darker value than the left side. So we're gonna try to accomplish that with our drawing. Now notice that I made it kind of abrupt, and to make it more subtle, I am actually adding more layers to the tippy edge of this snowman, and that helps to make it even more subtle. So, you know, and you're creating contrast. Now, contrast is just this relationship between the light and the dark here is called contrast. And you want to create some contrast in your drawing so that the balls look like spheres, because this is just looking 3D. It's not real 3D. You can't actually grab it. Okay. So now let's look at the shadow created by our snowman. So if you blur your eyes, you notice this, there's a shadow by my snowman right on the right side, and the area closest to the snowman is actually darker shadow wise than this area. So that's good to know. So now we're going to draw the ground and draw like an amorphous shadow. An amorphous is just that it's not really that exact. The shadow sometimes is more blobbish. And you just keep building it up until it's about like the middle value. If you it could also help to have your chart that we made to look at for reference. Anyway, I'm gonna make this area a teeny bit darker by layering further, and notice as I'm doing it that it's getting darker. And also the edges are nice and dark. Okay, and I think where these balls meet also is darker. And now I'm just gonna add the details of my snowman. And if you want, you can give it a hat. And if you want, you could also make this hat three-dimensional by adding some medium values and some dark values on the edges. There. So there you have a 3D snowman. Okay, that was super fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you had fun drawing your three-dimensional snowman. And I hope we're all gonna get some snow soon. How about you? Anyway, join me next week for more art making videos.